Right side, third row, then pass it to your right behind you.
Jeff out on Texas football. Sark, just on the perimeter skill talent on both sides, seems like you and Coach Jackson are getting some bigger-bodied, wider-frame guys in the receiver room. Is that something you guys sought out to do, or is it a byproduct of just kind of who was on the board? And then do you feel like you've got the bodies down at corner, the types of skill sets you've talked about being sticky in man coverage? I think since you got here, do you feel like you've got the guys now to where you can do more of that?
Yeah, no, it's been a little bit intentional of recruiting a little bigger at the wideout spot. You know, one thing about this conference, I don't want to say that underestimated, but you better have one or the other. You better have elite speed or you better have some size about you. Because it's so physical on the perimeter. And everybody's throwing perimeter screens. The corners in this league are long and physical and can run. And so if you want to be effective, which that is a part of our game that we want to be effective at, of getting that ball on the edge, you got to be able to block these people, you know. And if you can't block them, they're going to run right through you, and it feels like a wasted play. You know, you're 2nd and 12. I could have ran a dive, you know, to do that. And so we felt like we've had to evolve a little bit that way. Obviously, Wingo provides that. Emmett Mosley's got some good size to him. Jamie French, you know, Kalik Lockett, those guys. So, you know, Parker Livingstone. So I think that can help us. So it was a little bit strategic that way to do that. On the defensive side of the ball, on the flip side, the same thing. You better be able to stop these perimeter screens, or people will kill you and walk down the field on you. So you got to have the physicality to do that. But then if you're going to play close to them, now you got to have the ability to run with them and to play in coverage that way. And so I think that we've grown in confidence as a staff to play more man coverage. Even when we're playing zone, we're giving the players some freedom to make calls to play man, and we're promoting that with them to do that. And so it's a lot easier to get to the quarterback when the quarterback's got to hold the ball another second longer because his receiver's, you know, trying to get himself open versus man coverage. When it's zone and everybody's getting free releases, I don't care how good your rush is. If the quarterback's, you know, worth half a paint, you know, he gonna get the ball out. You know, so you gotta be able to play some man and mix it up and change up looks to get a guy to hold on to the ball to try to get to the quarterback.
In the middle, back row.
Hey, Steve. Jackson Arnold was up here earlier, and they asked him another rivalry question about obviously playing in Red River and now his opportunity to play in the Iron Bowl. I said, you're uniquely qualified to answer that question as someone who's coached in both of those rivalry games. What are some of the similarities and differences that you've observed?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the Red River rivalry is a unique game in and of it, that it's a neutral site game in Dallas every year at the State Fair. And the way the stadium is split at the 50-yard line, one tunnel, both locker rooms right there, it creates a great deal of intensity. It's an awesome game to be part of. In my opinion, it's the best one I've ever been a part of. And that's to take nothing away from the Iron Bowl, because that's amazing too, but different in that it goes back and forth, home game to home game. I do know when you're at Alabama and you go to Auburn, probably the toughest place to play in the country. You know, in that game in particular, as an opponent going into Jordan-Hare Stadium, it's one of the loudest things I've ever heard, and so that creates its own challenges that way too. So it's a great game. I think rivalries in college football are what make this thing so special, and the fact that, like, I've been a part of some great ones, man, and those are two of them, but I've just been fortunate that way to be part of some really cool ones.
Right side, fourth row.
Levon Whitaker, KXAN in Austin. Coach, I want to get your thoughts on Michael Taft and his tie. Did you hear about it before you seen it? Did he talk to you? And what are your thoughts on a guy like your leader doing something like this off the field to just use his platform for those that were impacted in the Texas floods? Yeah,
you know, anything Michael does never surprises me. You know, he's a very big thinker, but he's above of a very big thinker. He's a very big doer. He takes action and he follows up his words with action. And so when he committed to supporting this, it was about action. It wasn't about, you know, yeah, we're supporting it, but then there was no follow through. But that's been the story of his career with us. You know, it's been about taking action and supporting those affected by the floods in Central Texas. there's nothing that he's doing around this that is surprising to me, because that's who he is. He's a go-getter. He's an idea guy, and he's a go-getter. I mean, he takes action, and that's what he's doing again in this instance.
In the middle, second row.
Coach Gavin Baxley, WTXK in Montgomery. With the new changes to NIL, how has your program handled all of the different changes, but especially third-party NIL deals?
Well, I think that's unique because the changes are still going on, and so we tried to be forward-thinking. Naturally, what we've tried to do is submit as many third-party NIL deals as we can to see what's getting passed and what isn't, and we're starting to get some of those things back. And so the point being, I think it's a slippery slope when you rely upon third-party NIL deals as part of a revenue share, as part of a publicity rights, or as part of a contract with a player. Because if those deals get denied, now that money's coming out of your cap. If you go over your cap, now me as the head coach, I get punished, and I don't want to be suspended. They pay me pretty good money to stand on the sidelines and coach our guys, and so we have to be mindful of that. And so we're probably taking a little bit more of a conservative approach than maybe others, and that's okay. Everybody's going to attack this thing a little bit differently. But like I said, we've got a really good roster today. And I think we're going to have a really good roster the next year. And my goal is that we're going to continue to have really good rosters for years to come. And part of that is recruiting new players. Part of that is retaining the players that we do have. Part of that is recruiting players out of the portal. But to do that, we've got to be mindful of the resources that we have available, and not overextend ourselves and to make promises and writing checks that can't be cashed.
Left side, second row.
Hey, Coach. Bruce Marshall from WHBQ Memphis. You, Lane Kiffin, Kyle Whittingham, Andy Reid. This is a tremendous coaching tree, and I researched it more, and it just goes for pages. It all leads back to Lavelle Edwards. I don't think any coach has that sort of impact with that sort of a coaching tree. What was it when you were playing there? Could you sense, and what did you pick up from that seemed to be special that all these other coaches picked up too?
You left out a great one, Mike Leach.
Mike Leach?
Yep. Hal Mummy. There's been some great coaches. I think that Coach Edwards was a little ahead of his time. And, going back even in the early 80s, when he had Mark Wilson, when he had Jim McMahon, when he had Steve Young, Robbie Bosco, BYU was throwing the ball, before anybody was really throwing the ball. A lot of teams are still in the wishbone, and they made a decision to throw the ball. That was going to be their way to win, and that was what was going to make them different than some of the other schools. As it evolved into my time when I got there in the mid-'90s, it was still growing. And what it really grew into, that offense, a lot of great minds, moved on from there. Norm Chow, different people had moved on from there. But what came out of it was the air raid offense. And when Hal Mummy and Mike Leach left, that the air raid became the air raid when they went to Valdosta in Kentucky, and then all of that tree of the air raid coaches now became, and look at that tree from Cliff and Lincoln and all the guys that have gone on to do great things there as well. So, ton of respect for Coach Edwards, learned a ton from him. I wouldn't be the head coach today had I not played for him, in his ability to make you feel confident as a player that you could go out and do the job that you were asked to go do.
Coach, terrific job. I wish we had more time. Thank you very much.
Thank y'all. Hook 'em.